Get started here in a couple of minutes. Excuse me there. Wait for a couple people to come in here and get it set up. I'm going to go live in several different channels. We'll be live in Truck Mount Forums, the fan page. We'll be live in YouTube. We'll be live on Twitter. We're going to be live on the Truck Mount Forums fan page and the Truck Mount Forums carpet cleaning private page too. Keep that as and click that. Make sure my phone is quiet. Let me know if you can hear me well enough too. I'll wait about 15, 30 seconds, maybe a minute, then we'll go ahead and get started. So let me know how loud that music is. I'm playing a little bit of music in the background. Got my microphone adjusted, and you can see the topic up there. I'm going to be talking about timeless advice, and that is my top, at least my 3 largest mistakes I've made probably since I've been in business, and I like to pass those on to other people. So come on in here. We'll get started. I'll cut the music off here in about 30, 60 seconds, something like that, and we'll rock and roll. I think this is going to be a good one. I wish somebody would have told me these things when I was younger, but I didn't know them. So hopefully I can pass this on to everybody else and they can benefit from it. Okay, so 30 seconds, we'll get started. We're starting to get a good number of people in here. Remember, if you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, please do it already. You'll get an alert. If you're on our TMF fan page, you'll get an alert. If you're on our TMF Truck Mount Forums carpet cleaning page and also on Twitter, you'll be able to get all these alerts and it'll let you know when we're coming in there. Live, that is. Live from TMF. All right. Go ahead and cut the music off there. And we'll start to break this down just a little bit here. And I'll preface this with, I mentioned last week, we're going to get started. And the topic of this is basically what I got. Timeless advice. How did I write it? My 3 biggest mistakes. All right. This is episode number 2. My 3 biggest mistakes I've made and over the years. And why do I say this? Because I was traveling in my RV, visiting, business owners around the country. And just about any question they had, I had the answer. And after doing this for so many years, so many decades, I could just grab the answer right off the hip and give it to them, right? However, unfortunately, what happened was, I shouldn't say unfortunately, it's actually fortunately, but it kind of threw me off a little bit. I probably visited, I don't know, been across the whole country. We were in Virginia Beach. I worked my way over state after state. I probably traveled through 25 states, meeting different people, and everything's going real smooth. And I get this call when I'm in Huntington Beach. And by the way, there's a place called Jan's. If you get a chance to eat there, amazing food, just amazing for lunch and breakfast. But anyway, so I get this phone call from this cleaner, and he sounds like a young guy. Sounds like maybe in his 20s or something like that. And he wanted to meet me and ask some questions. I said, okay, sure, no problem at all. So, about an hour goes by and it's about lunchtime, and he pulls up and he's got a nice looking van. It's all lettered. It really looks good and everything. Kid is well uniformed. Just really got his act together. And we go in there, we order food, we sit down, we start talking and stuff. And then he said, really, Rob, I just have one question. Okay. If you could go back and talk to your younger self, what is your 3 biggest mistakes you made, or 3 biggest things you would have changed? Now, that really took me back because I'm so used to people saying, just the opposite. They're just asking questions about the business, how to do this in this trade. Where do I get training? What about this equipment? What about this customer? How do I deal with customer service? Google, marketing, all that. So, I just have that right off the top of my head because Truck Mount Forums has millions of posts and I've networked with tens of thousands of cleaners around the world. So I got those answers. But this guy threw me a little bit of a curveball. And so, I gave him some answers and I've kind of meditated even more on it since then. And I kind of wanted to bring them out. So let's go ahead and we'll break those down. There's 3 of them. And we're going to start with the first one I've got mentioned here is, and I think a lot of you guys can identify with this who are business owners. Hire slow, fire fast. Now, why do I say that? That's because in the past, and we've all probably been guilty of it too, I've hired too quickly. I've hired family. I've hired friends. I've hired people just because I needed somebody I thought really fast. And so I didn't really do a good background check, or I didn't really get to know the person. So that was a huge mistake on my part, because sometimes when you have family working for you, it's a two-edged sword. Now, don't get me wrong, my son works for me, my wife works with me, and sometimes my grandson, and they do well. But sometimes when you've got family working for you and they see a large volume of money coming in, they feel like they should have more time off. They feel like they should make more money. And the problem with that is they don't realize what goes out. Yeah, there's a large sum of money coming in, but yeah, there's a large sum of money going out too. They'd probably be shocked to see some of the types of bills that go out on a regular basis. And, they just feel like they can get away with certain things they would not try to get away with working somewhere else. Oh, I can't make it today. Or I got to go visit some family. Or I got to go do this and I got to do that. They normally wouldn't do that at another job, family, or friends. And now let's get to friends. As I traveled the country, I noticed a lot of people lost a lot of friendships because they partner with people. That's why I always say partnerships and friendships. Can it work? Does it work? It works sometimes, but it's pretty rare that it actually works. So you can really ruin a lot of friendships because your friends generally see you at your best times. You're going out to drink, you're going out to get something to eat, you're going out to play some sports. But when it comes to work, you got to work, you got to hustle, and sometimes they see the stressful side of things, right? Because we're making decisions on the fly. There's difficult decisions, there's difficult jobs to do, and it just conflicts. So if you can avoid it, don't hire family and don't hire friends, or at least be very careful when you do it, and maybe lay out some terms. Okay, lay out some written terms so you can both refer back to it later on. But on the flip side, I will say, my son, I wouldn't be where I'm at today with Truck Mount Farms. We're a worldwide company now if I didn't have my son. So I'm very blessed to have that. And I could definitely say the same thing about my wife. She's been very supportive through all the years as I built all the businesses that I have. And she's benefited from it too, but there's struggles. All right. So hire slow, fire fast. And what I'm going to say about fire fast is that sometimes when you see somebody going down the wrong road and they keep making mistakes, more than likely they're not going to change. It's just going to get worse. So if you've got somebody that's toxic, or they're not following the rules, or they don't have the same vision you have, get rid of that person as fast as possible. Hopefully within 30 days. But the key is probably try not to make that mistake. Don't hire just off the first meeting, the first interview. Ask some good interview questions. That really goes a long ways. And people always ask me, hey, Rob, how do I find good employees? It's just so hard to find good employees today. Well, you know what? I agree with that to a certain degree. But one way I found, this is a little tip here, I think you'll enjoy this, is if I meet somebody when I'm out shopping or I'm out at different places, no matter where I'm at, restaurants, wherever, even car washes, if I meet somebody with a good attitude, who's positive, who's upbeat, sincere, I'll usually give them a card and say, listen, if your job doesn't ever work out, give me a call. All right. And you'd be surprised. I've hired several people that way. And generally, one person who's a good person knows another good person. I hired a guy from a grocery store. He was unbelievable. He just had a great attitude. His name is Josh. If he just can't see this, I asked Josh to do something. He ran out, got it done, came back at the grocery store, and I said, look, man, you ever need a job? Come see me. Wrote it on the back of the business card, come to see me. I've hired 4 people from this one gentleman who I met, and been a fantastic worker. So the whole moral of the story is just be very careful. Okay. Hire slow, fire fast. So that's one big mistake that I made. Let's move on to the second mistake. And that is not taking advice and not hiring a mentor, or at least seeking out a mentor. I wish I would have went ahead and looked for a mentor and looked for more advice when I was getting going. I just didn't do that, and I really should have. Oh, I want to say one more thing. Matter of fact, I'm gonna pull up this picture here. Take a look at this picture before I move on. You see this picture right here? What is this? This is what do they call these things? Um, shape puzzles or something like that. You probably did it in school. It's got a triangle, it's got a circle, it's got a star and stuff like that. Now, each one of those individual things are pretty great in themselves, right? But I'm going back to the hiring just real quick. I want you to understand this is that when you hire somebody, sometimes they're shaped like a star, sometimes they're shaped like a triangle, but maybe the job you need is a star. And you try to take a circle, or you try to take a triangle or a rectangle, and you try to put it into that star. And when you're a kid, you just try to force it in there, but it doesn't work. And that's what happens when you try to force an employee or a friend or a family member. Don't do it. Okay. Let them have the capability and the possibility to go self achieve elsewhere. Just wanted to throw that up there real quick so y'all can see that. All right. So now back to the other point here, taking advice, not hiring a mentor. And I'm going to pull this other thing up here. And this is something pretty interesting that probably a lot of cleaners, I was surprised, did not know about. And that is SCORE. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of SCORE here. And if you have, let me know, and I'll pull this up in a second. Let's see. Here is SCORE. You see this right up here? And that's an acronym, SCORE. I think it's Senior Corps of Retired Executives. Don't quote me on that. I just think that's what it is, okay? Because it's been so long since I went there. But when I was first starting my business, I looked up SCORE, and I went there, and I actually had an opportunity to meet with two really great people. The first person was Robert Friedman. He had actually owned IBM before Bill Gates did. And I met him down here at a local university. And he gave me some great advice, and it still sticks with me to this day. And the two things he told me, and I'll pass it on to you right now. Number one, he said, what you do, Rob, speak so loud I can't hear what you say. And that's kind of a word or a mind bender, but what it really means is your action speaks louder than words. And so that really stuck with me. So whenever I made some statements, he said, remember, what you do speaks so loud I can't hear what you say. So no matter what you do in life, all your actions should come first, and they should support everything that you do ahead of time. Okay? And then I'd say the second thing he said to me, he said, listen, put God first, put family second, put your business third. And your business would be your community, he said, because you're servicing your community. So that was great advice. So I took those two pieces of advice, and I kind of wish in retrospect now that I would have sought out a mentor because they offer mentorship. Or I wish I'd have sought out a mentor in our industry, because the problem is sometimes when you get a mentor, they're not niche specific. And the cleaning industry is niche specific, isn't it? I remember going to take a water damage course. I wanted to add water damage and restoration to my business. And I went down and I took a course, a 1 week course. I'm not going to mention the name of it. I know you guys probably know it, but I'm not going to say, what course it was. And I got there and I'm telling you, they taught you so much. It was just overload book, overload. He just kept telling me, basically when I got back, people say, how was your course, Rob? I said, well, I feel like I could be a meteorologist. I mean, they're telling you how much moisture's in every drop of water in the air and stuff like that. It was almost ridiculous how much that they teach you. And so I come back and I'm kind of a little bit, confused about it. And I called a buddy who owned one, who I'd heard in the area, who owned a water damage company. He said, well, come on, ride with me, Rob. I said, all right, cool. No problem. I'll ride with you. And he started asking me, hey, how was it? I heard you went to a class. I said, yeah. How was it? He said, yeah, that's good. This guy's old school. And he says, well, look, follow me to this house here. Come on with me and follow me around the house. And I'm going to show you something. I said, all right, hey, cool. I appreciate it, man. So we get inside the house, and this house had been flooded, like half of it, like 3 rooms. And a water pipe had burst and it hit and it gone up the walls a little bit. And he's got a moisture meter in his hand. And he said, you see all this water in here? Yeah, I said, yeah. He said, we done got most of it out. I'm going to take this moisture meter, put it on this wall right here. And he said, what does the wall say? I said, well, it says 100% wet. Okay. He says, now we're walking to the other room. He said, I want to tell you something. Never be afraid of water. Never be afraid of water. I'm going, all right, that sounds good. Never be afraid of water. So I'm walking to the other room, and he said, take your moisture meter and now check this wall. This was a dry room. I checked it. I think it was 11 to 15% right in there. Remember, you have to have some moisture in the walls or things will just crumble. Everything has a little bit of moisture in it. So he says, so what'd you get? I said, well, I told him what I got. He said, what was it in the other room? I said, 100%. He said, well, go in there, put some dehues, put some air movers in there, get it dry, get the hell out of here. I'm going like, all right. And he said, we're going to do a few more things, keep some records and stuff like that. But that's how simple it really is. So having a mentor can really cut down your learning curve dramatically. And I think that's what's really important. So if some people say, well, I don't have $500 or $300 for a course, or I'm not going to spend $500 for a course, or I'm not going to spend a few $100s for a consultation for somebody. But you know what it does? That's kind of bad and faulty reasoning, because that $500 could make you $1,000,000. On top of it, could probably save you tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of mistakes that you might make, because he's cutting your learning curve down and he's holding you accountable. And by the way, we do offer mentorship. You can go into our tmfshop.net. You can schedule a consultation with me. I'll be glad to help mentor you along in your business. So I think that helps a lot. So keep that in mind. Taking advice, not hiring a mentor. I should have took more advice. I should have followed more up on mentorship. I would have been further than I am along today, even though I've come a long ways. God only knows where I'd be if I would have kept on following through with those people, because they told me I could stay in touch with them. And that would really help a lot. Okay. So, and remember this too, that I said last week in episode number 1, niches lead to riches. So learn your niche. But if you can find somebody who knows that niche better than you, and you can either network with them or you can have them mentor you, please do it. It's going to save you so much time and trouble and make you so much more money. Think of ROI. I know a lot of guys go out and buy a wand for $1,500. Thank you very much. Appreciate you buying our wands, like in the picture right there. But you have to remember that wand really is going to make you a little bit of money, but it's not going to make you the money that a mentor is going to make you by cutting down the learning curve and giving you a lot of tips and tricks about how to either get business or how to retain business, or just how to be a better business person or a better person. Listen, the best way to become a millionaire or a multimillionaire is to hang around millionaires or multimillionaires. Okay? You're going to pick up their lingo, you're going to pick up their actions, you're going to pick up their attitudes, and you're going to go further. You know, you just fly higher with eagles, right? Okay. As a matter of fact, I remember that one guy told me, talking about hiring people, he had said something I thought was really key, and I think you'll really like this. This was Robert Friedman, who owned IBM Litton Corporation back in the day. He said that, let's see if I can get this right. Give me a second. I have to think about it just for a quick second. He said, I know what it was. Hire your eagles. No. Yeah. Keep your eagles around and cut your ducks early. He was talking about when you're building your team. It was something very similar to that. He said, keep your eagles around, because eagles have vision. They have far vision. So you want people who have far vision. Then you got ducks that just quacks. You know what I mean? They're just quacking around. So you want to get rid of those people as soon as possible. So cut your ducks early, keep your eagles around. And I've got employees who have been working for me for 15, 20 years. So that goes to show that if you can find the right people, they'll stick around. They're a great team. It'll take you much further in life. Or as Howard Partridge always says, teamwork makes the dream work, right? It sounds cheesy, but hey, it's definitely true. Okay, so number 1 was hire slow, fire fast. Number 2 was taking advice and hiring a mentor. I wish I'd have took better advice and hired a mentor. All right, so the third point, and by the way, I will have an AMA. Remember, the first 30 minutes, generally I'm talking about what's going on inside the podcast, like right here, timeless advice, my 3 biggest mistakes. And then after where I'm done, I'll take an AMA. So I see here in the chat, a lot of people are asking questions or, exchanging pleasantries. So I will get to it if you can just hang it around. All right. So my last point is, and I can really kick myself for this right here, and you might have done the same thing to one degree or another, but that is invest in things that make you money, not cost you money. Okay. So looking back over, my career, whether it's in business, but especially personally, I invested a lot of money in cars. You know, I probably spent, can't even imagine the amount of money I spent. I mean, I've owned 7 Toyota twin turbo Supras. They were probably $50,000 a piece when they came out, right? 50, 55,000. And I was buying them used. And I would drive them for a while. When I say used, I mean I buy them like 5 or 10,000 miles on them. I drive them for a while and turn around and sell them. Now, let me tell you what, I wish I'd have kept one or two of them because we know how much they're worth these days, right? But then I have had Mustangs, I've had Lexuses, BMWs. I've just had all kinds of cars. And then I've had Mustangs, I've had Camaros. Geez, I've had just about everything across. I've had Mazda RX-7s. I've had so many different sports cars through the years that if I would have took that money and invested, I wish I would have invested in real estate more so. I mean, I have a decent real estate portfolio. I really do. But I can only imagine what that real estate portfolio would be right now. I look back in some of the neighborhoods that I lived in the past, and if I hadn't invested in cars and in dumb stuff, I am positive I would have owned probably my whole street. You know what I mean? There was probably on this house that I lived in, they had almost acre lots, and I'm guessing there was probably on our block maybe 10 or 15 houses. I'm confident right now I would have owned every single one of them homes with the money that I wasted on cars and stuff. Now, did I have fun? I had a little bit of fun. There's no doubt about it. Driving a fun sports car really is a blast. Don't get me wrong. And if that's your dream and that's what you're working for, hey, knock yourself out. But if I had do over again, I certainly would have invested in more real estate. I own my building here that I'm in right now. I've got another building in Virginia Beach. And then I've got other things which I'm not going to really talk about. I'm not trying to pat myself on the back and try to be private about things. And I have invested, but I waited till later in my later years. But if I'd have been working on that through my 20s, my 30s, and then my early 40s, man, I tell you what, if you really look at some of the wealthiest people in the world, most of them own a lot of property or are in real estate, aren't they? They own a tremendous amount of real estate, whether it's business or whether it's just, residential. I mean, some of the wealthiest people I've ever met owned tremendous amounts of shopping centers and stuff like that, right? We have one around here in this area right here. And this guy, guess what? I remember when I went trying to get some work from him to get his buildings, guess how him and his son got to work? They live down at the oceanfront, Virginia Beach, and they work about, I'd say 10 miles from the beach, right in between me and the oceanfront. Guess how they got back and forth to work? Helicopter. They had a helicopter pad in the back, one for the father, one for the son. They literally flew from their backyard, probably still do as far as I know. I don't doubt the father's still alive, but the son is probably. And they would fly their helicopter to work to beat all the traffic. That's pretty wealthy. Come to find out, he owned, office buildings and, projects, and he owned I'm talking about business subdivisions and stuff like that. He owned business parks, and then he owned shopping centers. And you put all that together, this guy, I would venture to say he's close to a billionaire today. If he's not, I'm sure he's probably a billionaire. So the point is, invest in things that make you money and have a return on it, not things that could constantly eat up your money. So I have to admit, cars, and maybe even some sporting and maybe some trips and stuff like that, it was just a waste. You're better to take that money and invest in real estate or invest in your business. Sometimes, and this kind of hurt me, sometimes I would buy a sports car and buy an older van and older equipment, so I had the money for that. And then what does that do? Well, you have more breakdowns, you have more problems, you have upset employees, you lose key employees because they're not in a good vehicle. So you see, it has a snowball effect. So not only does it cost you more over here, it's also taking money from over here, and you can't grow your business as effectively. So because it has that snowball effect. So don't spend your money stupidly. Spend it wisely, invest it wisely, do some fun things. Don't get me wrong, but don't overdo it. I mean, I can't imagine. I can't even think about how many sports cars I've owned. I'd really have to sit down and write it down. My wife's kept a picture, I think, of all of them, from when I was 18 till now. So the whole point is that you want to invest wisely. And I think real estate is probably one of the biggest areas. So that's one thing I've been doing lately over the last 10 years or so, is I've been moving my investments towards real estate. And I highly recommend you do that. I wish I would have been doing that 20, 30 years ago. Okay. God only knows how much further I'd be along right now. All right. So let's go ahead and review. Oh, one more thing I wanted to mention too. I had this experience today. We've been filming for 10 days. We've been traveling to Sandbridge. And some of y'all might know where Sandbridge is in Virginia Beach. It's near our ocean front. We have what's called the Strip in Virginia Beach. And then we've got a jetty here. And then you go around the jetty, it's called Croatan. Then there's this little island off to the right called Sandbridge. And these are very wealthy homes. And they're generally beach homes for people. And they're like 3, 4 story buildings. They got 20 rooms in them usually. And a bunch of people rent them out, or they're beach homes for the wealthy people. And I've been driving back and forth. And I had to drive by this home. And as this talked about investing, not investing wisely. This will be the final thing that I'll say about it. Then I'll move over to the AMA. I'm driving back and forth each day. By the way, we rented this house for 10 days, and I've been making videos nonstop. I'm going to tell you, I'm wore out. My voice is probably shot, right? Just wore out going back and forth to these places. And by the way, if you guys didn't see this, I will go ahead and put it up. This is SCORE, by the way. All right, so keep that in mind. It's SCORE, and that's an acronym. All right, so now that you know. And over here, the sports cars. And this guy had some nice sports cars. And I'm going to tell you a story about him as I'm driving back and forth. So I'll pull this up here. And I'm going to tell you how this guy got really messed up. All right. I'll pull it up in a second. I've got it here off to the left. Anyway, so I'm driving back and forth to Sandbridge to make these videos. And I'm guessing we probably made 20, 25 videos over the last 10 days. Making videos is not an easy task. It's hard. But I tell you what, if you invest that time into making videos, get it on your platforms, it really pays off for your business. Okay. All right. Because it's perpetual. It just goes on and on and on, right? If you get it up on YouTube, you get it on Facebook, you get it on Instagram, you get it on TikTok, you get it on your forum. It's just perpetual information. So it really helps you. And it's perpetual advertising too for your business and getting people to know who you are. Now, let me get back to this last story before I open this up. I try to keep these to 30 minutes and then another 30 minutes just to talking to different people here. All right, so I'm traveling back and forth, and there's this very wealthy neighborhood, one of the most wealthiest neighborhoods in Virginia Beach, between here and Sandbridge, right? And off to the right is this huge, humongous home where you got the neighborhood on the left here. I'm guessing it's got 100 homes in there on the golf course, and they're millions of dollars, maybe $1 million a piece, I'd say, something like that. $1 to $2 million, something like that, because it's a large neighborhood, but they're it's very expensive and wealthy homes. And maybe even more, that's been years back that they were even that price. So they're probably $2 million plus right now. All right. So on the right-hand side, though, is this lone house right at the entrance. There's only one front entrance to this neighborhood. Excuse me. So I'm driving back and forth, and I knew the backstory on this home. This guy here had went into that neighborhood and had an association, and he wanted 2 or 3 of the lots, and he wanted to build a bigger home, okay, than what everybody else had. Well, they didn't want that to happen. So they said, no, you got to build on one lot. So he got mad. He goes across the street at the entrance, buys up the farmland right there, and builds a monstrous home. All right. Just to spite the people in there. He said, I wanted everybody to know when they showed up and drove in that was me that they rejected. They have to look at my house every single time because they didn't let me live in that neighborhood. Well, he way overbuilt the home, way overextended himself. And then he got a bunch of fancy sports cars. I'm talking about Lamborghinis and stuff like that. Parked them out front. He's just way overextended. Well, guess what happened in 2008, right? The crash. And his business crashed too. And what happened? He lost everything. That house is still sitting there vacant to this day. So, like the old expression, the Bible says, pride comes before a crash, humility before glory. So don't let your ego get the best of you. Invest wisely and don't show off and try to keep up with the Joneses and stuff like that. Invest in real estate. Invest in yourself with a mentor and invest in your business. And I'm going to tell you what, you will be leaps and bounds past all your competitors because, sad to say, a lot of these competitors just all they're trying to do is get in, get out fast as they possibly can, go out and party, right? That's all they want to do. So you're already past them if you got those three things in mind. So I'm all done here. We'll go ahead and just say it one more time. Number one, hire slow, fire fast. Okay. And be careful hiring family and friends and when you're desperate for somebody. Okay. Because that's just going to get you in trouble if you're desperate, right? You know, it's kind of like when you go to the grocery store and you're going to eat some food and you're really hungry. Well, you're probably going to buy some things you shouldn't. Okay. And also, same thing when you're dating, right? You're liable to, if you're desperate and you're out there hungry looking for somebody, you're probably going to pick the wrong person. So be patient, okay? Be patient, hire carefully, and fire fast if they're toxic or bad. Or if they're just a bad person, get them out of your life. All right, number two was taking advice. Listen and learn to take advice. It's better to learn and live than live and learn. To living and learn is very painful. They say, "Oh, that's a school of hard knocks." Well, a school of all knocks sucks. It hurts, man. You know what I mean? So it's better to learn and live than live and learn. So learn from other people. Get yourself a mentor. Look up score. You know, start investing in your future and start thinking more wisely. Last but not least, invest wisely. Thinking about real estate. Think about, I'm not even crazy about stocks, though. I do have money in stocks. I do have money in Bitcoin and stuff like that. But you really can't go wrong, hardly wrong with real estate, can you? You know, real estate almost always appreciates. So and your business, you can't go wrong investing the money in your business. So invest in your business, and you can never go wrong investing money in yourself. All right. Well, that's my podcast right there. I hope you enjoyed that. Those are my three biggest mistakes. That's my timeless advice. And I hope that helps you in the future. All right. So I'm going to move over here and take a look at a couple of things. I appreciate everybody tuning in. Remember, this is going to be a regular thing every Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we appreciate you coming in. Remember, it's going to be live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, stuff like that. And of course, it's on Spotify. So appreciate that. Yeah, somebody mentioned here, you know, your friends expect some slack. They really do. That's an understatement right there. They really do. And then somebody said, "Yeah, you're right, Rob. Good people know good people," and that's a fact, isn't it? You know, this kid I hired, I call him a kid because he's young. He's in his 20s. You know, I've hired 4 people off of him, and they've been amazing workers, just amazing people, and the whole energy is just totally changed. You know, even though we've always had good energy, but this is just nice up energy, and it's just a really good feeling. Everybody's pumped, everybody's positive, and everybody wants to move forward. So that's really strong. Kick the frog off, isn't that the truth, right? Somebody said looking forward to the TMF restoration classes in the future. Yes, that will be coming. That will be coming. It will be a little more intensive than what I mentioned that the old school guy taught me there. You know. Let's see. Somebody says thank you, Rob, for the great advice. Solid pearls for growth. Hey, I appreciate that, Terry. Thank you very much. Where are you out of, Terry? By the way. And somebody said here, I hired a fireman yesterday. He was a customer 2 weeks ago and a complete stranger. That's awesome. Let's see if I can scroll back and see who that was. Because remember, if you're in the private group, I can't exactly tell. Who hired the fireman? Let me know who this is that hired the fireman. Because remember, if you're in our truck mount forums, carpet cleaning professionals private group, your name will not show up for privacy for other people or in this chat. So I'd like to know who that was. But isn't that interesting? I don't know if you know what? I have hired one or two customers' sons in the past. I have. And, but you know, young people for the most part, when it comes to carpet cleaning, I find when they're really young, that's really not what they're aspiring to do. And I've had some come back and work for me later on, but generally they're going to move on to something else and try different things. And you know, I never hold anybody back from self achieving, you know, so never deny anybody the opportunity to self achieve. And that's whether it's your family, whether it's your friends, or whether it's employees. Yeah, it's painful when an employee leaves, especially a good employee, and goes elsewhere. That is painful. So I hired a fireman yesterday. That's amazing. That's pretty cool. Let me know how that works out for you. And I'd like to know who this is, but like I said, I cannot see that. All right, let's see what else we got here. My mouse is locking up. I talked to my son about that. We're a first. Okay, here we go. We are a first responder based company and mostly hire only police and firemen. Hey, there you go. What's the name of your company, Nathan? I've actually seen people name their company First Responder, um, First Response Carpet Care or something like that, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So that's pretty cool, Blue Lake Carpet Cleaning. Where are you out of, Nathan? That's awesome, though. You really can't go wrong because really policemen and firemen are generally really good people. I mean, I know some people have some problems with policemen sometimes because nobody likes to get a ticket. Nobody likes to get in trouble, and they're always having to face negative situations. So I'm kind of half and half on that, honestly. Chardon, Ohio. Ohio is a very beautiful state. We traveled through there. Matter of fact, we're going to try to get back through there again this summer. And by the way, if you haven't signed up for the Experience Trade Show, that's going to be in Tennessee. I believe it's early April. I'll be there. So if you can make it there to the Experience Trade Show, the site or the website address is experiencetheevents.com. Yeah, that's it. Experiencetheevents.com. So sign up for that. Remember, it's tax deductible. You'll get to network and, rub shoulders with, professionals in your industry. And it's like half, I hate to say half, it's 3/4 water damage. I want you to understand that. And then it's 1/4 carpet cleaning. Used to be the other way around, but, they've been bought out by a restoration business. So it's not exactly the same anymore. So I want you to understand that. Keep that in mind. All right. So I'm going to keep this here just about another minute or so. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. And maybe sometime throughout the weekdays, I'll go ahead and maybe pop on here live and answer some questions. Because tell you what, if you're not a member of the Truck Mount Forums forum itself or the Truck Mount Forums carpet cleaning Facebook group, I highly recommend you do so because the topics come up and they're really good topics. And I find the forum, it doesn't move as fast as the Facebook, but with 2 million posts and people still posting there, it's a great network and a resource where you can learn a tremendous amount about the industry. Just go into the search bar, type in anything, or you just go to Google, type in, hey, carpet cleaning wands, truck mount forums, and all of a sudden you'll get all kinds of stuff because we're at the top of all the Google searches because Google loves content rich, don't they? You know what I mean? Volume. So if you can, the more volume you can deliver to them, the happier they are. And then, of course, on the Facebook group, that moves really fast. And people are mentioning things all the time, like how do you price something? How do you clean something? Got this unusual situation. How do I move into another diverse service? All kinds of things like that are popping up all the time. So I really appreciate all the support, everyone. And watch out for some really good interviews coming soon. I've been contacting different experts in our field, which I think will really help people to expand their horizons and their knowledge base. And I'll be bringing them on to the podcast in the future. All right. Well, that's probably just going to about wrap it up for me. I'm going to wrap it up here in about another minute, minute and a half. Looks like my chat for some reason or my mouse is not working as well. See if I can plug this bad boy in and unplug it here real quick one time. That's what my son does sometimes. Don't have him here. Oh, and these buttons are working. Okay, those are working. There we go. The mouse is working. But the chat is locked up a little bit, but I still got it over here some. So if you got any questions, feel free to ask. I'm going to pop this in here and go into another group. And then I'll move on. There we go. Went to the group here. I did see in the group that somebody had taken a picture and they've been photoshopping. If you get a chance, go in and look at the group. It's a carpet that's really thrashed. Last thing I'm going to say, then I'm going to move on. This carpet is really thrashed. And they got a picture of it after and they photoshopped it, you can tell. And they're passing it off to homeowners as an original before and after, or maybe they're using AI. I don't know, but regardless of what they're doing, it's really unethical. And if you get a chance, take a look at that. All right. I'm seeing if I can see myself in here. Here we go. Awesome. Got it now. Here we go. Oh, so that was Tim who hired the fireman. Awesome, Tim. Tim Warden. Cool, cool, cool. And he says he works 4 days on and 4 days off. Nice. So the 4 days he works with you. Nice. That's great. Yeah, that's why it's important, I think, to build relationships with your clients. You never know what might come from it. Always be positive. Always be looking. Always be attentive to opportunities. Let's see, new to the game here. Just ordered a new portable and a CRB. Maybe looking into mentorship here soon. Hey, Cam, it'd be a good idea on your part. Look on the tmfshop.net and maybe at least get a consultation. Get an hour consultation. Believe me, I'll help you quite a bit, and I do a lot more after that. So keep that in mind. Yeah, that's good stuff right there. All right, well, that's it from me. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Tune in next week, and I'm very accessible. You can always find me anywhere on the internet practically, and you can also call the R800 number. You can reach out for me if you have any questions. I love helping people. I'm going to say it. I always say it all the time that I'm a big believer in the law of reciprocity. I believe if I help you become successful, you'll help me become successful, and I'm living proof of that. Thanks, everyone. Have yourself a great night. Be good now. I can't even cut it off because the mouse isn't working. So maybe it's going to go on for a little bit. See if I can cut it off here. I'll have to power it off. Hey, son, if you're watching this, I might need your computer expertise. Good thing my son can cut these things. He can cut them and put them on Spotify. So, yeah, don't forget, you can look up Truck Mount Forums on Spotify, and I'll have the link up. And it's also on YouTube, too. So if you want to look at it, this will be up on YouTube. But I can't end my stream. So let's see how I know what I can do. I'll close out the window. It won't even close out the window because the mouse isn't working. Anybody know how to cut a computer off when your mouse ain't working? See, there we go. There's a question I can't answer. Generally, I can. That's craziness. My son told me to go watch the first 5 minutes, and after that, he was done. We had to put a long day in today. Wow. Okay. So let's see. How would you cut a computer off without unplugging the thing? This is great. You need to do a comedy. I know, Tim, right? This is craziness, right? What do you do when your mouse stops working? My mouse is on my laptop. It's built in. And then when I used to have computers, it was attached. My son's is not. So here I'm moving this mouse and it ain't working. Yeah. Oh, you want me to do comedy, huh? Let's see. What's the difference between in-laws and outlaws? Outlaws are wanted. And you hear that from me because I ain't one to talk. A hammer. Yeah, true, man. Let me get a hammer on this thing. Let's see. So how would my son's got this laptop hooked up to here. I'm going to have to go back into the back of the laptop and unhook his power, right? Either that, just going to stay on all night long. All night long. That's craziness. Go show how important the little things in life are, right? This little mouse. Yeah, there's the right one right there. Son, if you're there, calling son. Come on in. Let's check this out. No, yeah, that mouse is not working. Strange. Okay. So anyway, guys, thanks a lot and have a good night. I'm going to go behind this computer and I'm going to have to unplug it. I don't see any way around it. Thanks a lot, everyone. Have yourself a great night. Okay, everything worked out good and I'm done, but the mouse won't work and I can't close out of the program. That's right. I just walked away. I told everybody have a good night and walked away. How do I turn it off? On my own laptop, you mean? Oh, it's not going to save. Okay. It's not. That's not even plugged in, but there is a little thing behind it. People probably hear me talking now. All right. You know, son, I can see the mouse moving around, but it's not working on the screen when I press anything. You understand? Yes. No, no, haven't done nothing. And I can't toggle nothing. No, because son, remember, it's moving the stuff. It's moving the cursor. I can see that moving on it. Either side. I'm pressing end stream. Look, the cursor. I'm gonna put you on FaceTime. You're not gonna be on screen. Hold on. I don't know. It's not. Yeah. I can't see anything. Black screen. All right, there we go. See the cursor moving? So okay, now that white cable that goes in the back of the computer, plug that into your computer. This? That goes into the mouse. I plugged. Yeah. Plug that into the mouse. I did. And then plug that white cable. Plug in the other end to the back of your computer. Not to the screen, but to your laptop. Like that? Yep, and it's plugged into the back of the computer. It's plugged into my computer. Yeah. Take it out? Here? No, take it on the other side. I did that already. It didn't work. Take it off. Okay. Now, click right there. Right now move up. It's not moving right, Rob. Okay, that's fine. I think you have it upside down. Like turn the mouse around, and then try it. Is that better? Yes. Let's see if it works. But it's still not ending the stream. Just click it once. No? All right. Can you open up a new tab? Yeah. Click that. No. Tab. This? Click to open up a new tab. It did. It won't do it. It won't open a tab. Okay. Just go shut down the computer. Are we gonna lose the? We're gonna lose the podcast? No. How do I shut down the computer? You hold down the power button. Where's that at? On your laptop. You open your laptop actually. Yeah, open up your laptop and click that screen. Will it have the live on there? Yeah, it will. Yeah. All right, hold on a second. It worked.